Bring back the alpha. Today, I got a great guest, an esteemed colleague, Funk Roberts, and he's founder of the Over 40 Alpha and the Over 40 Alpha podcast. And he has been a coach, has been around for a long time. He helps men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond improve their health, their fitness, their recovery, hormones, all of those things that we cover here as well. And I thought he would be an amazing guest. Plus, we're partnering up with a men's over 40 summit, and we've recorded my podcast on reversing diabetes. And I felt just compelled to have him on so we could talk about the men's summit and everything from there. He obviously has been focused on his own business and the podcast around helping men's health over 40, and we're both passionate about that. So we'll be covering that. He is a former professional beach and indoor volleyball player, a two-time bestseller author, and owner of Funk Roberts Fitness, Inc., and the Over 40 Alpha Brotherhood. So this guy knows men's health. He eats, sleeps, and breathes it. So welcome to Driven for Health podcast, episode 102. Let's talk. Funk, excited to have you. What's one big takeaway you want our guys listening in to have from our conversation today?
Yeah, so thanks for having me here. I'm excited. And the one big thing is you can get in the best shape of your life in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. We have to train smarter. We have to eat smarter. The margin for error is here, but you can get in the best shape of your life. I see it every single day.
I second that for sure. And it's something that really is, you have to focus on it though. And because life just gets run away and then you fall into the, well, I'm too old for this, or it just starts falling off from there. Now, I said a little bit ago, one of our main talk points today is to bring a showcase to the Men's Over 40 Summit that you're so kind to invite me on. And we had a wonderful conversation, and I'll be promoting that. The episode or our summit starts on, it is June 7th through the 14th. So we'll be doing it live then. And so you'll be able to, in the show notes, be able to click on links to be able to sign up and participate in that. So you're wearing a hat. Let's talk about Second Half Strong. What does that mean to you, and why the summit, all of those things?
Sure. So yeah, second half strong means exactly what I was talking about at the very beginning. You can become the best health, emotionally, physically, emotionally, spiritually in the second half of your life. We're not losing that in the second half of your life. And so, I've been working in this with men over 40 for the last decade. When I first came into this, there was nobody else, maybe a couple of us that were working with men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. So for me, this was a passion of mine because I struggled when I was 39 turning 40. I struggled. I didn't know what was happening with my body. I didn't know, even though I was still, posting workouts and I was Funk Roberts Fitness, my body was changing. I was 215 pounds of big puffy muscle. I'd usually been about 180, 185.
Right.
I wasn't able to build muscle anymore. My joints were hurting. I had no energy. My libido was gone. And so when I went to the doctor for my checkup, he said, "Oh man, your testosterone levels are at 189 nanograms per deciliter."
That
And
is
for me
not
at that
good,
point,
unfortunately.
no. And
But
for
real
me
quick, just so that the guys know, what's normal range?
I'll get to that.
Okay,
So
cool.
the real thing is like, so 189, I'm like, well, what is 189? What is that? What is that? Because I wasn't able to connect testosterone to it being our number one male hormone. So
Right.
he's like, yeah, it should be about 600 plus 600 nanograms per deciliter. That's total T, right? I was
Right.
189, right? So that was like a grandfather, basically is what he's telling me. Like he got a testosterone to a grandfather. So
Oh,
again, I didn't know the difference. So he worked through it with me, telling me this is the reason why you got no libido, the reason why you have no energy, the reason why you can't build muscle, the reason why you have no, you're depressed and all of these things. And so when he told me that I can naturally increase testosterone, because that's what my whole program is about, helping men naturally increase testosterone through
yeah.
lifestyle. 6 months later, I was 185 pounds. My T levels tripled, and I was lean and
Yeah.
ripped. And that was in my 40s, and I never looked back since. And my 40s were some of the best years of my life, which is why second half strong is something that I lean into. Even though I'm 57 now, the
Oh my
40s really
goodness.
was a catalyst for me to build my business. And I fought Muay Thai professionally in Thailand. And I did all of these different things that you wouldn't really think could happen in your 40s. But it wasn't until my later 40s when I had a lung disorder called crypto organizing pneumonia, where I really put into action how to really implement the lifestyles that we'll talk about today for men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. And that was the catalyst to launching the Over 40 Alpha Brotherhood. And over
Right.
the last 10 years, I've helped thousands and thousands of men in that membership to also become second half strong through the programming that we put together. So yeah, second half strong is kind of like the identity, right? We need a new identity because a
Yes.
lot of times we
Yes.
lose that identity. So a new
Yeah.
identity is, yes, I can become strong, whatever that means, physically, emotionally, spiritually. There's a lot of stuff that we have to kind of break down and rebuild in our second half. But I want to be living till I'm 127 years old, 120 years old doing burpees, right? So that
Yeah.
means that stuff up for today. So that's really what second half strong is. And the catalyst for putting together the Men Over 40 Summit, menover40summit.com,
Right.
is because the men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, we're the most underserved audience when it comes to health and fitness. We
Right.
lead the league in obesity. We lead the league in heart disease. We lead the league in chronic health issues. We lead the league in suicides. We should not be leading the league in suicides. But that's because we don't have the information that's curated specifically for who we are, man,
Right.
because we go through physiological changes. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but we go through changes that not no other demographic does. Like women have menopause in their 40s. When you're younger, you got tons of T and tons of testosterone, and
Right.
different things happen. But the stuff that we go through isn't really addressed, and so that's what
Right.
this summit's all about: bringing over a hundred speakers and doctors and fitness experts like yourself to curate information specifically for us guys. So now we have people talking to us, understanding
Yes.
what we're going through and giving us strategies and tips to implement them right away.
Right. And my experience on our conversation that we had was just like we were just hanging out, chatting it up, and just giving real world advice, real value. And that's across the board with everyone that you're bringing on. So you're going to have this. We're not talking sciency jargon. We're not talking above the clouds or anything. It's just gonna, like man to man type. Tell it the way it is, and so that you can easily understand, and then be able to
Mm.
easily implement and have simple takeaways from each conversation to be able to implement and take action on. Now, the first, I love the second half strong. I am in that 40 to 60. I'm 43, and that 40 to 60 range is riddled with men having a midlife crisis because
Mm.
of financial stress, because they're fathering, they're parenting, they might have aging parents that they have to take care of. They are either wildly successful in their career or they're starting over. We're seeing that a lot now in the AI generation and phase here that we're in, of people that thought they were cruising now are under pressure because of the fast pace of technology, and that challenges us, and all of a sudden health goes on the back burner. That hour that you were going to do for the gym is now spent stressfully trying to figure out all these other life things. So we have six pillars that we're going off of in this summit. The first one, we'll do it one by one, but mindset and manhood in the 40s and 50s. And what are some of the changes of the mindset, the just the identity that happened to men?
Yeah, so this spans in the different decades, but I think what happens in your 30s, like in our 20s, we're just really trying to we're trying to figure ourselves out in our 20s, right? School, and then we're sort of looking for a career and
Right.
trying to figure in our 30s, the focus is career, family, getting married, a lot of those things that, just the drive to improve in your career. So a lot of times
Right.
the health gets thrown to the back burner because as men, we want to provide, right? We want to be the guy who provides for their family or for, the kids or what have you. And there's a lot of things that happen throughout your 30s. Some people keep the relationships, there's divorces, there's all kinds of things that are going on. But then what starts to happen as you get older like I said, the physiological changes that are happening, they start to slow you down. You don't understand what's happening. The things that you were doing before aren't really working now. You probably haven't been in the gym in 10 years because, to tell you the truth,
Right.
most guys aren't in the gym in 10 years. They're not going to the gym. They're not working out. They're focusing too much on like consistently focusing too much on their careers. And that's fine. That's kind of what
Right.
happens. But then when you get to your 40s, you don't know what's going on and why do I got the beer belly and how come my libido's gone and why don't I feel the same way? And I don't have
Right.
that drive anymore. And why am I feel like I'm grinding and why do my joints hurt? Like all of these things start to pile up. And so what happens now, also in our 40s, 50s, 60s, depending on where we are, you may have a family, amazing family, but now the kids are getting older and now the
Yeah.
kids are leaving. Now they become empty nesters in your late 40s, maybe early 50s. So now you're not providing for the family anymore, right? So
Right.
now you're looking yourself in the mirror mostly and see, oh, wait a minute, I got out of shape.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a divorce that's happened throughout that time. And now you're dealing with being a single father and you got to figure out the kid situation and you're still
Right.
navigating that. Maybe it's a loss of job or changing job or you're just in a career where you're kind of stuck, so that kind of happens. And the last thing is maybe you're retired, so later on 40s 50s 60s you're going to retirement. All of those things have an identity that is applied to that, right? I was a
Agreed.
father, and you're still a father, but you're not
Your
the
role changed. I've
the
got four
role.
kids. I'm in the thick of it. 16 to 10, three boys and a girl. Holy cow. I might have to drive 90 minutes to go to the middle school today. I don't know. Someone might need it. They forgot something and I have to go drop it off. Oh my gosh. Well, there goes a large portion of my day that I have to
Mm,
rearrange to be able to do that. And that causes other challenges and stuff. So I'm in the thick of providing, but oh my gosh, Funk, what am I going to do when all my kids are gone? I'm going to be bored out of my mind because I was so used to being go, go, go with them running around.
sure.
And
So what
I'll feel sad.
Yeah, and that's what happens, generally speaking. You have the empty nesters, you've got
Yeah.
maybe you're divorced, or maybe your wife just leaves you, or whatever that is. Or maybe you have a great career and your career is now over, or maybe
Right.
there's a change. But when that identity changes, then you don't really have a clear purpose. What also starts to to surface is your health. Right now,
Yeah.
you're because you haven't been taking care of your health, and that's just the reality of it, right? You have to take
Right.
ownership of the fact that, hey, I haven't really been taking care of my health. And usually what it unfortunately what happens is it some type of life
A
chaotic
life
something
event. Yeah.
life event.
Honestly, that's how I run into people. It's not because, hey, I want to stay strong in the second half. It's no, I got slapped in the face by my doctor. Basically, he said, we're putting you on medicine, or my size 40 pants don't fit anymore. I saw myself in a picture and I didn't recognize who was standing next to my wife. Like all sorts of things are happening.
Yeah, so that's exactly, it's that event where, they get high blood pressure, cholesterol, whatever that is that kind of slapped them in the
Right.
face. Wife leaves them because they're not the same as they used to, whatever that is. So now it's about, okay, now what do I do? Right? What do I do? But I don't know. I haven't gone to the gym. There's so much information out there or not enough
Right.
information. That's
Right.
not, and the information's not curated for us. So it's very difficult for men to kind of see what is that next step. And of course, for guys, we have a lot of ego, right? So we don't want to
Oh my
ask for
gosh.
help because we
Right.
feel that if we ask for help, then we're weak, which is
Right.
100% the opposite. We need the help so that we can, get the structure and the system in place. So
Right.
so that's generally what's going on mindset wise. There's a lot of
Right.
changes that are happening lifestyle, but also physiologically they're happening too that we don't understand.
Right.
And then not having somewhere to go or something to do. Like you go to your doctor's is going to tell you they're going to prescribe and they're diagnosed and prescribe, but your doctor doesn't know nutrition, workouts. They don't know that
Right.
stuff.
They're not
And if you
spending the
do,
time or the energy with your understanding your lifestyle or understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, and the challenges that you have to face every day to be able to overcome them.
yeah. So it's so now you're kind of like, okay, now what do I do? Where do I go? And that's where we have to kind of sit back and think about those next steps. How did I get here? Which again, sometimes it's very difficult to understand how you got there because you've been so focused on one thing. But yeah, that's basically what keeps
Yep.
men stuck because not only that, but you know, our the media and everything else makes it okay to have the dad bod, and it's okay to be
Unfortunately, yeah.
it's okay
Society
for
has trended that way toward where the majority of the US and Canada are trending toward obesity or like definitely overweight, and chronic illness is more regular than it's ever been in people, which is
yeah,
unfortunate.
it's the worst it's ever been actually right now.
Yeah,
We and men lead the league in obesity, in
right,
heart disease,
right.
and suicides, everything else. So this is it's not even like we're kind of there. It's
Yeah,
the other side. So
epidemic
yeah,
level proportions going on here.
yeah,
Yep,
100%. So yeah, it's that's really where the mentality is, and now it's like kind of stuck as to okay, now what do I do? What do
right,
I do first? And then you kind of just I don't want to ask for help. So now you're just back in this isolated bubble. You don't want to talk to your family. You feel down. You can't look at yourself in the mirror. And when you do look at yourself, you don't like what you see. So that just, the depression becomes worse. You kind of try to hang on to your old identity, but that doesn't work.
right. You're
Or,
like, I used to
um,
be, I used to play football in high school, right? It's like, guy, hey, that was like 20 years ago,
yeah.
30 years
And,
ago. We need to,
and there's yeah, and there's some things you can pull from that for sure because
right, of
you've done
course.
it before. But yeah, it's just yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of where we're at with the
Right.
with
So that's the
my
first pillar of the one of the key pillars, because if it's not right in your mind, then your identity, you never can realize that second half strong type mantra and a body and a healthy legacy of yourself. That leads us into pillar number two, centering around testosterone, hormones, and longevity. Certainly, with dealing with the low T that you had, the testosterone, and going on a personal journey to improve that. Let's talk what happens when a guy's got a waist that's over 40 inches big. He's been overweight for a decade. He hasn't been in the gym because he's been too busy, and he eats fast food or on the go all the time. Where is his hormone levels at with the testosterone? Like, what's going on there?
I'm gonna step one back just to the
Yeah,
mindset
please.
because I'll leave you guys with something um, that's
Yeah.
very very important. This is the key for you listening to this being able to take that next step. You have to actually take ownership of where you're at because if you don't take ownership of where, and what I
Yes.
mean by that is most men will blame their career or their
Right.
family or the situation and they blame the external. And when you blame something that's external, that means you don't have the ability to make a change. Because if it's your wife's fault, she's the only
Oh,
one that can make
right.
a change. If it's your
Right.
kid's fault, by the way, you should never throw your wife or kids or anybody else under the bus
Agreed.
because it's all about ownership. But when you take ownership, no matter what it is, when you say, the reason why I'm here is because this is the way I ate or
Right.
didn't eat, these are the things I did and did not do, that means that you can actually make the change. That means that, okay,
Right.
I'm here, I'm good, this is where I'm at. I'm not going to beat myself up. Here is ground zero.
Right.
Now I can make the changes. Now I
Right.
have the power. So you take the power back
Power
to
back.
make the change. When you give that away to other people by telling them blaming other people, then you don't have power. We need
Right.
that power because in order for us to become second half strong, we need to have the power to make those changes. It's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy. That's why you have to get some help and get a structure and a system. But the thing now is, oh my God, I can actually make changes. I'm telling you, when I'm talking right now, I see it every single day. Guys
Right.
coming in their
Me too.
40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, they're in the worst shape of their lives. We have thousands of testimonials and thousands of before and afters because they take ownership. So I just wanted to
Right.
leave with that. I know I've kind of beat everyone down about mindset and this
Right.
and that, but
Yeah, it's so
when
important.
you take ownership, it is the number one thing that will allow
Mhm.
you to make the change. And then you'll start to make the change. It won't be easy, but it's a marathon, not a sprint, because we want to be, doing this
Yes.
for the rest of our life. So I just wanted to
Right.
leave with that.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
excellent.
then we move into the hormones and health. So I
Right.
want to I want to premise this by letting you know what's actually physiologically happening to our bodies when we're at 40. So the first thing is testosterone levels naturally decrease 1 to 2% every year after the age of 30. So by time we reach 40, our T levels are low. I talked about 600 nanograms per deciliter. Back in the 80s, a man's like the normal range of men's testosterone were over 1,000 nanograms per deciliter. So like our
Yeah.
fathers, they
Right.
all had
It's
testosterone
like
levels
walking
through the
around
roof.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger all the time, huh?
Not just that though, because it's not just muscles, and that's the
Right.
misnomer. People think
Right.
it's about being jacked and ripped. It's not about that. It's about the energy. It's about everything that goes
Right.
along with testosterone. But now, what happens is testosterone levels throughout the decades they slowly move the marker down. So 1,000 would have been normal. Now, then it was 800. Then it was 600. Now the norm is 200, or I think it's 300 nanograms per. And I'm just
Right.
talking total T 300 nanograms per deciliter to I think 700 now they say. So they
Right.
keep moving. Uh, and
Right.
the other thing too is that's such a large. How can something normal be 600 points? That makes no sense, right? It makes no sense. So whether you're 200 or 800, you're normal. No, that doesn't make sense. So 600 nanograms per deciliter is basically specifically my program where you're going to feel your best, right? You're going to have
Yeah.
the energy, you're going to feel good, you're going to be your fat's going to be burning off, you're going to have be able to build muscle, your libido's going to you're going to be waking up with the morning wood. But unfortunately, by time you reach 40, because our testosterone levels naturally decrease, because we haven't lived a lifestyle that supports hormones, we are now in a situation where we have the lowest testosterone across the board. So testosterone levels in men are, even in younger men, are lower than they've ever been
Right.
before. Estrogen also starts to increase. Estrogen's a
Right.
female hormone. We need a little bit of estrogen for our healthy
Right.
sexual health, but too much, right, causes aromatase, which means that testosterone converts back to estrogen. And when we have too much estrogen, that means we have too much visceral fat, which is the fat around your belly, which kills you. When we have too much estrogen, we have the man boobs. You see the guys walking around with the man boobs. Too
Right.
much. When we have too much estrogen, it kills our hormones or testosterone. So that's the one thing that's going on, right? The second thing is sarcopenia, which is a natural loss of muscle due to aging. We don't have to suffer from sarcopenia, but as I mentioned before, most guys aren't consistently in the gym, training,
Right.
working out, building
Right.
muscle, using resistance. So muscle is metabolic. Muscle will help us burn fat. Muscle's also important for our metabolic health, and muscle it's the organ of longevity. The more muscle we have as we get
Yes.
older, the longer we have.
Literally, science defines that as the
Remember,
more muscle
you
you
know,
have, the longer your opportunity to live on this earth will be. Because at the very basic, you'll be more functional. But yes, you're stronger. You can handle life. You'll be more durable to put up with the
and
gravity,
chronic health
even.
issues. It's mostly it's a metabolic health too. It's like a metabolic health thing.
Yep.
Um, a lot of guys look at it as the aesthetics. It's not the aesthetics.
Right.
It's the muscle. Of course, you're going to look better and you're going to be leaner, but it's more about how it's going to help us metabolically internally. So sarcopenia happens starting from 35 and it starts to accelerate when you're in your 50s. So again, we have to actively be building muscle. The third thing is our metabolism slows down, right? So that's more of a lifestyle thing than a aging thing
Right.
because the foods we eat or don't eat, the movement we're not doing, we're sitting down more, we're on our phones more. So, and then maybe you're trying these crash diets, maybe you're going
Right.
too hard in the gym. That's going to slow down our metabolism. So again, the ability to burn fat, and then of course insulin resistance becomes and obesity are increasing as well. So we get the
Right.
beer belly, we get the the ability for our body not to convert glucose where it needs to. So all of these things creep up by time you're 40, which is why it's important for us to understand, okay, so if all of these things are physiologically happening, then I need to create a lifestyle that is going to address that. I'm going to eat to naturally increase testosterone. I got to work out to naturally increase testosterone and build muscle, etc. So that's where so by the time we reach 40, that's what we're dealing. We're dealing with low T, we're dealing with erectile dysfunction. We're dealing with insulin resistance, which is massive right now. We're dealing with
Hmm.
visceral fat. So there's two types of fat. There's subcutaneous fat, which is what I'm pinching right now. Visceral fat around the organs, which literally will kill you. period,
Yes.
right? And all of this fat that the body can't convert will settle in the organs and will kill you. So that and causes a lot of the other chronic diseases that we suffer from. And then of course there's yeah, and then it's so all these physiological logical things we have to fight, right? That are happening with
Right.
us. And that's where our focus now should be. Okay, well, how do I improve my energy? How do I
Right.
improve my recovery? How do I, get rid of this brain fog? Because that's another thing that happens, right? Brain
Right.
fog, recovery. So we're fighting all of these things hormonally and physiologically, but we have to understand that that's why we're doing that's what's happening. Because when you don't know that's what's causing these things, then you're going to be stuck in that, like, okay, well, why is it just because of my age? It has a little bit to do with it for sure, but some people age in 40s, 50s, 60s, and they don't have those things because they have been living a
Hmm.
lifestyle with their testosterone. They have been in the gym. But when you know, okay, the reason why I'm not getting good sleep, probably because my testosterone levels are low, my insulin resistance, I got this big belly fat. Okay. But if I change those, I'm going to sleep better. Obviously, you got to do some things to get a better sleep environment. But when you know that these are the reasons why these things are happening, why is my libido gone? Oh, it's because my T levels are low and my estrogen levels are high. Why do I have this belly fat? Oh, because I've got I've got a lot of visceral fat, probably from the drinking and the foods and all the crap that I'm eating. And if I change that, then I can change, right? My body can change. Because a lot of times we feel like, man, it's just I'm 40 and this is where I'm at, or I'm 50 and this is
Yep.
where I'm at, and there's nothing going to change, but it can't. So understanding hormones are very important. The thyroid is responsible for your metabolism. Like when you know these things, then you're like, okay, you're going to think everything you do is going to be intentional. What you eat is going to be intentional. You're going to be like,
Right.
okay, I'm eating healthy fats. We'll get to nutrition. Eating healthy fats because it's got cholesterol, and cholesterol is a precursor to testosterone. Cool. Need the healthy fats,
Right.
as opposed to listening to someone who says, don't eat fat or use this type of diet. You're going to be like, actually, that doesn't apply to me because these are the things that are happening to me.
Right.
And these are my lifestyle that I have to change. So it is important to understand that these are the physiological things that are happening, but we can overcome all of those health issues that we have when we reach 40, 50, or 60, depending on when that comes to surface.
Right. Now, let's transition in some of the other pillars because they directly build off of what we've been talking about. All right. So we've got the mindset, we've got this identity around being a man and a leader and provider and living the second half strong. And we start to understand testosterone hormones. And if you haven't been to your doctor and gotten a blood panel, probably a good idea to go in and get those numbers done. So then you have a relevant baseline for where you're at right now to be able to then start adjusting. So then we get into the third pillar, which is training and fitness for men over 40. How is that different? And then what we may have done when we were 20 and leaping for at least my age, we were leaping through the men's health magazines and stuff to or the Arnold Schwarzenegger workouts and whatnot. But let's talk about fitness and exercise and getting in the gym.
Yeah. I'm gonna back up again. Sorry, I gotta back
Yep.
up. You said something very, very important,
Yeah.
and it's blood work. So the
Yes.
most important thing I can leave you with. So there's the next. So the first step I told you
Yep.
about ownership. The second one, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna go to your doctor today, tomorrow, whenever, and you're gonna ask for blood work, full blood panel, including
Yep.
your testosterone levels. That's what everyone is going to do. Your doctor is going to push back. Your doctor is going to say, you don't need testosterone. You don't need that test. They're going to ask you stupid questions. You demand it because you
Yes.
need to know where you're at. Once you get that information, just like Brian said, now you have the info. Now, not only do you have the mindset, the ownership, right? Okay, I can take ownership and make change. Now I got the info. Okay, my T levels are really low. Cool. That speaks to a lot of the stuff that phone just talked about. Oh, maybe my cholesterol is high. Oh, maybe this is. So now you have blood work that you can use. You may have to take it somewhere else to someone who can actually read it and understand it and help you apply. But now you have more power because you have the info, the data, because you can't make decisions without data, and you
Exactly.
have the ownership of I'm going to make a change. So we got the first two things. Now we're going to get into training. This is super important because there's big mistakes that men make, just like Brian said.
Yeah.
Mistake number one, you jump to the cardio. So jumping to cardio, I get it. we've been told so many years that cardio, meaning long steady
Hit,
state
hit,
cardio.
hit. Right.
Yeah, long steady state cardio, meaning like go getting on a treadmill for 60 minutes or getting on the elliptical for 60. By the way, any man who's listening to this right now, if I ever see you on an elliptical machine, I will I will knock you off that elliptical machine. No man in their mind should be on an elliptical machine. Anyway, so elliptical machine for 60 minutes, treadmill for 60 minutes, stair climber for 60, or you start jogging. All of those things are what you would do for cardio, but that's not what moves. And that's a massive mistake because that sets up a catabolic environment. So
Yes.
cardio, right? You're training for 60 minutes. So your cortisol is a stress hormone, and we need cortisol. It's an important hormone. We need it for waking up. We need it for when we're actually training in the gym. We need it for when we need to focus. It's our fight or flight. So we need cortisol, but elevated cortisol levels, which most men have, will cause testosterone levels low, the heart disease, all of the chronic issues that
Right.
we have, right? So we don't want to be keeping our cortisol levels at a high state. Cortisol is also catabolic. So in terms of training and muscle building, it will eat away at our muscles the more catabolic we are. We want to create an anabolic environment. There's a time for catabolic environments, which is 30 minutes into a workout. But anything after that that stays there is going to sabotage our anabolic environment, which is what's going to
Yep.
help us rebuild. So, so long steady state cardio is going to not only be hard on our joints. You may lose a little bit of weight, but that's going to be muscle. We talked
Right.
about sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is a natural loss of muscle due to aging. Remember, I told you have to be building muscle. So we don't want to spend 60 minutes doing something that's literally doing the opposite of what we want, sabotaging. So no more
Hmm.
long steady state cardio. We don't need that. There are other ways to train where you add that conditioning and that stamina in. Well, I'll get to you in a second. The second thing is bodybuilding style training. Like you were talking about, you go to the muscle and health. I mean, I've written for muscle and fitness and all the
Yep.
health magazines. I'm all here. But the old school traditional bodybuilding style training doesn't really work for us as we get older because we don't recover in the same way. So doing
Right.
chest day, then back, then legs, then arms, then shoulders, then a day off, and then doing it again, which is probably all we know at the moment. If we haven't been in the gym for so long, we don't, that's all we remember, right? You walk into the
Right.
gym, and you're
Right.
like, okay, today's chest day. All right. So you jump, you get
Monday,
underneath.
it's chest
Yeah,
day.
get underneath the bench and you're now all of a sudden you're like, shit, I don't even remember how to bench, right? Because it's like I've moved in a long time. Or
Right.
so you drop the bench and you're looking around and you go to the dumbbells. Okay, well they're dumbbells. So you pick the dumbbells up and you start doing bicep curls, but then you're looking around and everyone else is kind of doing it differently and you feel out of place and I don't want these. And then next thing you know, you're looking around. Oh, I see a leg press machine. You sit in the leg press machine, but most guys never did legs to begin with, so then you're not going to get in the leg. So you're going to get out of the
Right.
leg press machine. You don't even remember how to use it because you never
Right.
used it. Then you end up just getting on that treadmill again. You end up just going
Right.
on the treadmill, right?
Default.
So yeah, but our joints are not as elastic as they used to be. The elasticity in our joints because we're
Little
not doing
stiffer,
much, right?
touching your
Yeah,
toes a little bit harder.
exactly. So the recovery piece. Remember, I talked about anabolic, catabolic. So what you're doing in the gym, we are breaking down and tearing muscle fibers in the gym. So every time we do a bicep curl or a chest press or squats, we're tearing muscle fibers. That's what's going to help us to rebuild. But the more we do that, we have to have the other things in place that will help us recover. But if we keep breaking it down, chest day, back day, even though we're doing different body parts, it's still that 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 volume. Our body cannot handle that volume, and we'll just end up getting injured. We'll end up getting more joint pain, and we won't be able to have a sustainable training environment where we can train for the rest of our lives. So that unless you're going to step on the stage, you don't need that type of training, right? So that's
Right.
number two. And number three, going too extreme. So a lot of times I remember when CrossFit first came out, that was a big thing, right? And CrossFit is
Right.
amazing. Sport, I watch it, but it's a
Yeah.
sport, people. It's a
Yes.
sport. It's not
Right.
a workout. It's actually a
Yeah. Well,
sport.
yeah. In the very beginning, it was a training program, but now it is definitely support and definitely high stakes with money.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So and there's a lot of technique behind it. There's a lot that
Right.
goes around. So jumping all the way to a high intensity, that type of high intensity, because um, is just again a sap, right? You're just setting yourself up to get injured. Our bodies can't go from zero to hero, which is what we always want to do
Oh,
because we want
yeah.
the quickest results. But
Right.
that's also going to sabotage our results. I've seen it many, many
Right.
times.
I'm gonna do
So
all the squats that I haven't done in years. I'm gonna do them all today to catch up, and then you can't
mm,
walk for a week. You
that's not
lose.
workout. It's not the one workout, it's the consistency. So what do we do instead? Well, the best workouts are you're going to do 2 to 3 workouts a week. 3 workouts would be the best. But if you're just starting, even 2 workouts a week.
Yeah.
But each one of those workouts, you're going to do total body training using
Yep.
compound movements, multi joint movements,
Yep.
and you're going to use metabolic training. So metabolic resistance training, that's my specialty. So you're going to literally, literally circuit training. You're going to
Right.
do 6 exercises where you hit your entire body, move from one exercise to the other with little to no rest in between. So let's pick a work. So you're going to do 40 seconds of work of goblet squats with the dumbbell. Then right after that, you're going to rest for 20 seconds. Then you're going to get on the floor and do 40 seconds of chest press. Then you're going to rest for 20. Then you're going to do 40 seconds of bent over rows, rest 20
Yep.
seconds. You need to do that 4 times, right? So it's like 24 minutes, 6 exercises. And that's
Yep.
total body. So now you're hitting your entire body in one workout. We're doing it under 30 minutes. So now we're setting ourselves up for our cortisol to come down naturally. And we're also
Mhm.
getting what's called the afterburn effect. Because when you work out in that way, right, it's called the afterburn effect. So before we start a workout, we're at homeostasis. That's when our body's at its rest. When we do cardio, 60 minutes of cardio, right? You start doing 60-minute cardio, you're only doing it at a moderate, you're only moderate intensity. You can't do cardio hard and intense for 60 minutes. So you're gonna burn
Right.
calories. For sure, you're gonna burn calories, but then it's only gonna take your body maybe an hour to get back to homeostasis. Okay. So that's
Right.
regular cardio. So you're gonna burn calories, but it's good and for your body to get back to homeostasis, that's that requires energy, which requires calories. So you're going to burn calories for another hour. When you do a metabolic workout where you're going from one exercise to another with little to no rest in between, the intensity is super high because you're going to get a lot of cardio and conditioning because you don't have a lot of rest in
Right.
between the sets that you're doing. It takes your body 24 to 36 hours to get
To
back to
recover.
homeostasis. Let me
Yep.
do that again. 24 to 36 hours. Many times in my programs during my coaching calls, guys will be like, "Hey, Funk, something's wrong with me because I keep sweating like 2 hours after your workout." So I'm like, "Yeah, that's good. That means your body is thermogenic. It's still burning calories. It wants to get back to homeostasis." So
Right.
you've got a workout that only lasts 30 minutes. You can do it in the comfort of your own home. You can do it at the gym. You can use just dumbbells or body weight, resistance bands or something else we use, kettlebells if you have
Right.
kettlebells, but not style. And you're going to do that on a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday. And that the exercises you choose on Wednesday and Friday are going to be different from the one on Monday. So maybe we did squats on Monday for the first exercise. You'll do lunges on Wednesday, and then you'll do I don't know, a hip bridge on the Friday. So you're hitting the different parts of the lower body or different squat variations, but still it's total body, right? So maybe you did chest press one day, you'll do flies the next day, and maybe do alternating chest press or incline chest. So you're always picking different exercises for that week. You're going to implement that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that is going to set yourself up to be able to build muscle while you burn fat. Because remember, we have the afterburn effect, but we're also using resistance. So we're
Yep.
building lean muscle. And in between, we have mobility and flexibility, which is paramount because we don't want to get injured, right? I talked about the recovery not being
Right.
we don't recover the same way we used to, and we want to build an anabolic environment, right? So the stuff around inside of the gym. So this is a non-negotiable, by the way. Mobility, you can choose mobility.
Yep.
You can choose like Manflow Yoga. By the way, Manflow Yoga is part of the summit. He's got yoga specifically for men, right? So you can use Manflow Yoga, you can use Pilates, but that is a non-negotiable on your Tuesdays
Agreed.
and your Thursdays because that is going to keep you injury free. We're always hunched over. We've got to, open up. We've got to get rid of the pain in our back and our shoulders and our knees and our joints. That's what's going to help us. And it's going to also help us perform in our workouts. Because remember, we want to be doing this for the rest of our lives. So this is not couple of months. This is not, a 28-day program. This is the rest of your life
Hmm.
training 3 times a week or 2 times a week or
Yep.
sometimes four. We're going to implement that mobility. And that specific is perfect for us guys. And again, as you start to advance, then you can add in other things like
Right.
CrossFit if that's what you want to do, because
Right.
you've built that baseline of a body that's hard to kill, right? And not only is the body in the gym functionally, but externally, right? Because here's the thing: when you're 40s, you probably still want that six pack. And I see that with my guys in my program. When
Yeah.
they don't want the six pack, they just want to lose the weight. Right. And the first thing you should be losing is fat, by the way. When you first come in, the very first thing you
Agreed.
should be losing is fat. But of course, we're going to build muscle as well. But in your 40s, it's more about like, yeah, I can still look good and, take my shirt off. In your 50s, things start to change a little bit because you're more about functional. You want to be functional throughout the day. You want whatever you're learning or building inside the gym to help you with everyday things, picking up your kids or grandkids, putting stuff away, building things in the backyard. You don't want to be always in pain or weak. So a lot of the workouts that you do are going to help with that. But when you get in your 60s and 70s and beyond, it's more about being able to do things like hiking and being
Right.
pain free and waking up pain free. And yes, of course, you
Keep
want to be strong.
moving.
Yeah, running and jumping, which is other things that we lose, but are part of things that we have to still train. Right,
Right.
balance and a stability. That all of that stuff comes with that mobility work, but you build that into your workouts as well. So you're always applying new things. Like you're always trying to get better. Maybe after you get that baseline, you want to increase your pull-ups and your dips. Okay, well, I'm going to add pull-ups and dips, right?
Yep.
You don't need deadlifts. You don't need barbell chest press. You don't need back squats. That's just setting yourself up for more disaster. So in that training scope, it is the metabolic resistance training, so building muscle while burning fat, but the
Yep.
mobility or the yoga or whatever you use is a non-negotiable. Like we're not even having this conversation about training if that's not part of it. They're 50-50. They're 50-50 for sure.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Agreed. Totally agree. I love this. There's one thing I always say to people, and you would definitely resonate with this. If you're consistently doing 3 times a week for say the rest of your life, working out, you're going to be more consistent than most humans have ever been in the entirety of mankind, especially in the modern gym, phase that we're in. And that's because you go back 500 years, there weren't gyms because you're digging in the dirt and pulling and dragging things. And so that was a part of your everyday life. Now we have to insert it into our everyday life, and going to the gym is a great way to do it. And lastly, I know that Funk really would appreciate this and totally abides by it, is that make sure you don't get hurt. That's the first rule, is make sure you can show up at the gym tomorrow and not overdo it today. That's
Mhm.
so important. And that's where some of the mobility work comes in, to elongate and get your body back to a full range of motion and flexibility, and not stuck in these bad posture positions that you've been in for too long.
Yeah.
Moving on to nutrition, because now we have to fuel the machine to burn the body fat to live and have that energy that we want, and not fall asleep at 3 o'clock.
Mhm.
What are we doing in our 40s, 50s, and 60s with nutrition, Funk?
Yeah. So the biggest mistake right now for men is using feminizational diets, going on restrictive diets, going on diets that
Right.
don't even have anything to do with us. Because remember, once again, we're going to go back up to what's physiologically happening. In our hormonal environment, we need a nutrition plan that is going to help with our overall health, with our hormones. And of course, the byproduct will be helping us build muscle, burn fat, and tackle the insulin resistance and tackle diabetes and
Right.
pre-diabetes. All comes down to our nutrition. So there's tons out there: keto diet, paleo diet, 1 day, all of these crazy diets. That those diets aren't for us. Okay,
Right.
they don't
Agreed.
align with us. What aligns with us is what I call the balanced plate meal. Okay,
I
because
love
a
it.
balanced plate meal means that you're going to have four quadrants on your on your plate or your bowl or your smoothie. And every quadrant has a role. So you're going to have a source of, these are called macronutrients. Protein, you're going to have a source of protein. You're going to have a source of healthy fat. You're going to have a source of complex carbs. And you're going to have a source of vegetables and fruits with every single meal. You're only
Yep.
going to eat 3 times a day. That's it. And there's no snacking. There's no need for that because that puts too much uh, uh, load on our digestive system,
Right.
and it causes the insulin resistance because we're just continuously
That
putting
and
food.
it just even the more times that you eat, the more
Mm,
likeliness you to put more calories in your mouth. And now we're out of calorie balance and we're in calorie toxicity in a sense of weight gain, which is what we don't
yeah,
want.
totally. So let's talk about why we're eating each one of these. First is protein. Protein is the building blocks of our muscles, our bones, and the metabolic processes that go
Yep.
through our body, which means, and we don't naturally, our body does not produce protein. We have to get it from an outside source. So protein is super important again for muscle building, for fat burning, and metabolic process. So we need to get that protein in our body, and generally we're going to do that through animal protein and high quality protein. Listen, I told you guys before that the margin for error is here. So we can't be floating around eating all kinds of other types of things. We want to keep things very, very high quality. So protein is
Yes.
going to be key. It's going to be animal protein, eggs, the meat. Try to keep it very high quality, and that's why we need that.
Land, sea, and air type protein
Right.
sources, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Then, so that's one thing. The second thing we're going to get is a source of healthy fat. Healthy fats, like monounsaturated fats. There's different fats. We have to be very, very careful. Trans fats are the ones we want to stay away
Mhm.
from, but there's healthy fats that we want. And the reason why is healthy fats have cholesterol. Cholesterol is a precursor to testosterone production. So testosterone production happens during deep sleep at night. There's this whole production that happens, right? Hypothalamus, signals the hypogonad tropin hormone to go to the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland releases luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, goes all the way down to the latex cells in your testes. And when the luteinizing hormone gets to the testes, to the latex cell, opens the door and it looks for cholesterol. If there is no cholesterol in there, or not enough cholesterol, your testosterone production does not happen. So we need to, now our body does produce a bit of cholesterol, but not enough to keep our testosterone levels at 600 nanograms per deciliter where we want to get to. So we need healthy fats. There's again, non-negotiable here. So
Right.
healthy fats have to be, and unfortunately, most guys don't really know what healthy fats are, right? So
Right.
avocado, grass-fed butter, olive oil, MCT oil, Brazil nuts, beautiful. So those would
Yep.
be like almond butter. So those would be healthy fats. And
Yep.
that's the reason why. So that's why it's so important. The third thing is complex carbs. So there's two types of carbs. There's simple carbs. That's the sugars. That's the pasta. That's all of the junk, the crap, the processed foods, all
Right.
that stuff. That's simple carbs. Complex carbs are the good carbs that are going to help support our thyroid. Remember, I talked about the thyroid being responsible for metabolism. If you're not feeding your body the carbs, complex carbs, you're jeopardizing your thyroid, you're jeopardizing your energy, and you're jeopardizing muscle because that's where a lot of the glucose goes to when you have muscle is carbs, right? The carbs from the glucose goes to the muscle, and it also
Right.
helps you. It also helps you replenish the glycogen stores that you lose in the workout because that workout that we're going to do is going to drain our glycogen stores, and our body needs those carbs. So those carbs are going to help with metabolism. Carbs are going to help with energy, going to help with brain health. And carbs, I'm talking about sweet potato, any type of rice except brown rice, because that's estrogenic. Quinoa, steel cut oats. So it's not a big list, right? A lot of these things are not a big list. You want to remember, I
Right.
talked about them. I talked about the margin of error, man. Like we got to stick here. So we got to pick and choose the things we love to eat,
Right.
and then we create the plate. So that's why carbs are important. And the last thing is vegetables and fruits because they have the micronutrients. If you are following a diet where they don't talk about micronutrients, which are the vitamins, the
Right.
minerals, and the
Minerals.
phytonutrients, then there's a problem because those are the things, the vitamins, the minerals, the boron, the selenium, the vitamin D, the magnesium, all of these things, zinc that we get from foods that are going to help balance our hormones. They're going to give us a better hormonal environment and also healthy. We're going to get that from food. Now we can't get all of it from food, unfortunately, but
Right.
we want and we're going to end the fiber. So we're going to get that from vegetables or fruits. So that's the quadrant. So whether it's a breakfast bowl, like maybe you're going to have steel cut oats, right? And put steel cut oats, you're going to put a scoop of whey protein, animal whey protein, high quality New Zealand whey protein, right? So that's going to be a protein. You're going to have bananas and berries as your fruits, and bananas make everything taste good. And then you're going to have almond butter, maybe. And then you're going to mix
Yep.
that up. And that's going to be like your
Yeah.
cereal, right? That's going to be your healthy cereal because the steel cut oats is going to be your carbs.
Yep.
Or maybe for lunch, you're going to have, grass fed steak, beautiful, some white rice. You're going to have avocado and then a salad, a side salad, right? With no salad dressing on it. We're not putting all that sugar on
Right.
there. We're just keeping it very simple. So and then so that's and then whatever you have for dinner. So that's kind of the blueprint, right? You have your
Right.
ta- meal one, meal two, meal three, or breakfast, lunch, dinner, however you want to do it. But you have to also stay away from all the other junk. You got to stay away from processed foods, from sugars, from trans fats, from takeout, like all of those things, because they'll sabotage alcohol, because they'll sabotage that one meal that you have, right? Even more than anything. So you don't want to put that stuff in your body because again, we're trying to create a healthier environment both physically and for our overall health. But it's simple. It's honestly, we don't count calories. You don't need to count calories. All you have to do is make sure you have a source of carbs, fats, proteins, vegetables, and fruits on your plate. And when you can see that, you know that you're putting the quality of food, right? It's the quality of food, not the necessarily the quantity. Of course, we want to be the caloric deficit. We have to lose weight, but
Right.
caloric deficit doesn't mean eating less. It also means making sure that we're training so we're burning more calories at the end of the
Right.
day, right?
Right. We
So the
always
quality,
want to fuel fat loss and
yes,
burn calories to do so rather than just eat less and not
100%.
move.
So yeah, and the quality is going to be key, which is why we don't have the fake food and the processed foods because they don't have the nutrients, right? They
Right.
don't have nutrients, right? These foods we're eating have nutrients that are going to help us feel full longer and also gonna give us what we need in order to again live much healthier and much more energy. So the nutrition piece is easy. Another tip before we go to the next one is one of the things that we do in a program is how do we make things easy for guys? We're very
Oh,
simple,
yes.
most men, right?
Simplify. Yep.
So what we do is we choose our go-to meals or sorry, go-to foods for the week.
Yep.
So at the beginning, the end of the week, we go, okay, so next week, so for me, this week, for instance, this week, I just shopped. So this week I'm gonna have basmati rice is gonna be my carb for most of the week. Um, I'm gonna have a steak and ground beef. So I have a lot of steak and ground beef. So that's gonna be my go-to proteins, and of course whey protein in the morning for my steel
Yep.
cut oats. Avocado is a mainstay for me, so I buy a whole bag of avocado, and then whatever salads I'm gonna have. But that's it.
Right.
So the whole week I'm done. I just come home, I batch
Right.
cook all my,
Yep.
and for me, I will put all my carbs in one bucket. I'll put all my protein in one
Yep.
bucket. I'll build from there. My
Yep.
wife's different. She will build her meals out. Like she builds her
Yeah.
meals. But the meal prep is very important. But picking and choosing your foods allows you to be prepared, right? And
Right.
that's what it is. It's being prepared. And you're cooking your meals, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make it easy
Right.
and simple and eat the same things over and over again. Don't try to keep changing things. Eat the same
Right.
thing over and
Simple
over
is
again.
easy. Easy gets done, people.
Totally. So that's where the nutrition comes in. Um, and then supplementation too. There are some non-negotiables if we want to quickly go through that. Totally up to
Yeah,
you.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
let's do it.
supplements. So nothing happens. Supplements are kind of the final piece of the puzzle, but they're a very important piece because the foods that we eat today are not the same nutrient density as the foods that we had in the 80s. The soil's a lot
Right.
more damaged and the
Unfortunately.
food are just the way they're making these foods these days are just unbelievable, man. It's horrible. It's very difficult now to find real good whole
Right.
foods. You need to go to the farmer's market or whatever. Now, I'm not making excuses because we can still eat healthy, but we do need supplementation, non-negotiable. So what are some of the non-negotiable supplements? Protein powder, high quality animal whey protein. Okay, what anyone says, you're not going to get enough. Most men do not eat enough protein. So we need
Agreed.
to sure we have this high quality protein, not with sugar, not with all this other added filler. We want it
Right.
one, that's it, protein. Because we're going to use that. We're going to use it after a workout. We're going to use it in our steel cut oats in the morning. We're going to use it when we feel like we need some,
Right.
chocolate, like chocolate
Yeah.
protein and a little
Yeah.
bit of water.
Yep.
We only
Exactly.
use water, not milk. Second is creatine monohydrate. Every man on the planet should
Agreed.
be on creatine. Not even a question for the brain, for muscle, and for all of the different benefits that
Right.
creatine has. Get on creatine right away. But you have to
Yep.
go through a little bit of a phase where you're going to feel a little bit bloated with water. That ends after 4 weeks. So those are the first two. The
Yep.
second thing is the third one is magnesium glycinate. Magnesium, sleep is a super important for us. Magnesium is one of those things that helps keep the stress levels down, anxiety down.
Right.
It prepares us for sleep. It's
Sleep.
also, most men are deficient in magnesium. Most people are deficient in magnesium. Magnesium is a very powerful testosterone booster, but also it's a powerful uh, uh, mineral that we're deficient in for overall health. So magnesium glycinate. Now the problem with
Right.
magnesium is there's so many different forms of
Oh yeah.
magnesium, which is
Yep.
why I said magnesium glycinate.
I
And
say
you're gonna take that
not
at night.
oxide. Make sure you're
No,
looking at your labels.
that's exactly. Then we want omega 3 fish oil, right? So omega 3 fish oil, it's a top tier,
Yep.
because we're not eating enough
Agreed.
healthy fats, not enough
Nope.
fatty fish. And most of us we have too much omega 6, which is very inflammatory, and not enough omega 3. So we have to
Agreed.
switch that. So we got omega 3 fish oil. Again, that's a non negotiable. Vitamin D3, K2, non
Yep.
negotiable. We just went through COVID years ago. We found out most people are deficient of vitamin D3, K2. We also found out the benefits of vitamin D3, K2. And yes, we can get it from
Yep.
the sun, but that's not realistic for
Right.
most people, depending
Most
on where you
people.
live.
Yep.
And the K2 is kind of like the Robin to the Batman, right? It helps with absorption, but we're
Right.
also deficient in K2 as well. So vitamin D3, K2. Next up is a multivitamin. Every man should be taking a high quality multivitamin, not
Right.
Centrum and all that crap, like a high quality multivitamin, because we're not getting enough of the vitamins and minerals from the foods that we're
Food.
eating. We're getting
Right.
some, but we're not getting enough, and it's getting worse and worse, right? And so those are kind of like my main. Am I missing anything? Yeah, that's pretty much the
No,
main one.
you covered all your bases. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
electrolytes, maybe some collagen,
Yeah.
greens,
Yeah.
zinc would be great, but those are the main ones. Like
Right.
get those, and
Right.
you're set.
Agreed. Agreed. Moving on to the next one, we got sleep. This is
Mm,
a huge pillar, and I know I'll be having Nick Lambie
mm,
on as your partner in crime for the Men's Health Summit. He'll be coming on here next week, and we're going to go over some of the pillars. And his specialty is sleep. So let's jump
mm.
into sleep as our fifth pillar and why it's so important, and it helps with the recovery, and it's its own form of biohacking that's free. You just have to go to bed early or on time and not be drowning out scrolling on a phone or something.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. It's easier to say than it is to do, and I realize that
Hmm.
100% because most people are sleep deprived.
Yep.
And sleep is something that we always thought of being weak, right? Like,
Ah, yes.
thinking like, "Oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead," like, and
Right.
our environment actually rewards non-sleeping. Like, if you
Yep.
work hard, come in earlier, work later, good. Work harder. Oh, I only got 2 hours sleep, but I was able to do this. In school, when
Right.
you're studying
Yep.
all night long.
Pulling
You're
all
pulling
nighter. Yep.
all of these things are like rewarded. Rewards are like a badge of
Right.
honor. It's
Right.
not. Sleep is the foundation. If there is one thing that will move the needle in health the most, it's sleep. It's getting
Uh-huh.
2 to 4 hours of restorative sleep. I know you're probably saying 2 to 4 hours. Isn't it 7 to 9 hours? That's total sleep.
Yep.
And 7 to 9 hours is only going to set you up. It's not even going to set you up to be able to have 2 to 4 restorative, because I used to get 8 hours sleep every day, but then I would look at my Whoop strap. I
Yeah.
have a trackable, and my Whoop would say that my Whoop was always in the red. I'm like,
Yeah.
how is it possible? It says I
Yep.
got 8 hours sleep, but then I looked at and I used to think my Whoop was broken. In fact, I threw it out and bought a new one, thinking that it was broken because I'm getting 8 hours sleep. but
Yep.
why is my recovery still in the
Right.
red? And then I realized, and this is me being the expert here, realize that it's restorative sleep. I'm only
Yeah.
getting 30 minutes restorative sleep. And
Right.
that is the most important, the quality of
Yep.
sleep. And
Yep.
so once I started to focus more on how do I get more restorative sleep, which is 2 to 4 hours, and why is this important? Well, let's talk about what happens at night. Let's talk about what restorative sleep is. That's REM, that's deep sleep.
Right.
Like that's like the deep sleep that you're getting. So 2 to 4 hours a night is going to set you up because that's when muscle grow. That's the anabolic environment you need to build muscle, right? So we're breaking down muscle in the gym or at home. I work out at home, so you're breaking down muscle at nighttime. It's like, okay, guys, Funk's broken us down. We need to build back up, man. He's gonna put us through another
Yep.
workout in a couple of days, man. We can't be messing around here. So that's when everything starts to rebuild, get stronger, get bigger. But you have to have that environment. The second thing is your brain starts to flush during that time, and so you don't get that brain fog, right? There's a lot of things that happen neurologically during that deep sleep, that restorative sleep. The third thing that happens is your testosterone production. Remember, I talked about that whole production? Well, that only happens during deep restorative sleep. So those three, along with setting yourself up for a better day, more energy, etc., happens when you get that 2 to 4 hours. So that's what you really want to track and focus on. 7 to 9 is going to set you up better, but it's to 2 to 4. So once you get that, and that also helps with all the other markers, insulin resistance,
Right. Yep.
all those other things when you're getting that sleep, which is why it's the biggest lever. The problem is we want to hang on to the identity that we're bad sleepers or we can't get sleep or I'm a night owl
Right.
or I
Right.
wake up early or whatever it is. You
Let
gotta knock
me
yourself out of
let me put a pin here real quick. I have a client in my program, the Call to Rise, and the guy came in and he's been in roughly about a full week and a half, and he came in with chronically like 4-ish hours. He's saying citing insomnia. We got him eating better, got him moving. He's now today, this morning, I got my first 8 hour of sleep in years. In
that.
years. And he's doing the things that we're talking about today. And it's incredible because he feels like a new person getting that
Mhm.
much sleep. He's like mind blown. I can't believe I've slept this long. So it's so important.
Yeah, and you don't know what you don't know, right? Because if you've
Right.
been sleeping 3 hours for the for your whole life, and then that's all you know, so you don't know how to
Right.
that getting more sleep is going to make you feel better. In fact, Nick, I want you to talk to Nick about this next week. I'm going to
Yeah.
set it up for him. But we did a sleep challenge. Nick and I created a
Okay.
collab on a sleep challenge, and we
All
had
right.
one guy in our challenge who was literally, I am only a 3 hour sleeper. He was in his 60s. He'd been doing this for 40 years. He's
Oh
never slept
wow.
more than 3 hours for 40 years. And
Wow.
2.5 weeks into the sleep challenge, he'd be getting 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. And he could not believe it. And it wasn't about anything else, but about the sleep environment that we created for him, which Nick will talk about next week. But that's what it is. It's like the identity, you have to change your relationship with sleep. You have to change
Right.
it so that sleep is just as important as everything else in your life. Because when you change that relationship, you're gonna be you're gonna be more. What's the word I'm looking for? You're gonna be more focused on
Intentional and productive.
the intentionality that you have to set up your sleep environment and kind of like
Yeah.
the whole, I call it a production, right? Like 3 hours, you don't eat 3 hours before you sleep. You start to wind things down and turn off the lights 2 hours, right? You're
Right.
off your phone, you're off your screen an hour. Maybe you go in a separate part of your house where it's your
Yeah.
sleep den, and you kind
Yep.
of like wind down. You read a little bit, maybe you do
Yep.
some mobility, or maybe you do some breath work or meditation, and then you go to bed.
Yep.
And your bed is all, there's no TV in your room.
Nope.
You use blackout blinds. Maybe you put
Blackout.
on a
Yep.
mask if you have, and
Yep.
you're sleeping. And that's what your bed's from. If you wake up out of bed, you go pee or whatever, and you can't get back to sleep. You go back to that den. You go back to your sleep
Yep.
den, and you recalibrate, and then you go back to sleep. You don't stay up
Yep.
and sit in the bed. And then also, once you're up, you're up. You're not sitting in bed thinking about things. You get out of bed right away because
Yep.
you
No
want
snooze
to.
button, right?
The only thing you want to associate with that bedroom is sleep. and
Sleep.
sex. Those are the only 2 things,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
it.
S
Ev
squared, and it doesn't involve screens.
Yeah, exactly. You don't obviously, your phone does not come in the bedroom
No.
whatsoever, and so
Agreed.
that but it's the whole process. It's like a process. Like, okay, like, we even do this here. Like, my wife is great at this. It's like, okay, we start off with whatever we eat, and then it's okay. Let's turn off the lights now. Let's get the lights back down, and let's kind of
Yeah.
settle in. And, we're off the phones, and we're just either chilling together or whatever. She reads, using her, some blue blocker light or whatever to calm her down. Then she sleeps, and that's it, right? So that's
Yep.
it's the relationship. And once you do that, once you change that relationship and that identity, like, you're a sleep guy now. Like, that's how
Yep.
I'm sleep
Yep.
guy. Like, I appreciate sleep. I know how important sleep is, and
Yep.
just being as consistent as possible. You're not going to get the 2 to 4 hours every single day. And also, it also depends on where you're at in life, right? Like, if
Right.
you are at a point where something's changed in your life, obviously you're not going to get incredible sleep. If you're moving somewhere, obviously you're not going to get incredible sleep. If you are working on a project that's like
Right.
high
A lot of
into project, of course
stress.
you're not going to get it. That's cool.
Right.
But it's the consistency of, like, okay, I understand that I'm in this season right now. Or
Right.
you just had a
Right.
child. Like, you just had a child,
Right.
obviously you're not going to get enough sleep. So you're
Right.
not kind of forcing it, you're understanding it, and you're
Right.
doing the best you can at where you're at the point you're at. But again, it's a relationship needs to change, and specifically as we get older. So that's that part, the sleep part. But there's also the cortisol. This is another important one. It's also the elevated cortisol, the elevated stress. Men need to realize that we can't live in an environment that's fight or flight. So I talked about cortisol being a stress hormone, which we need. Like, right now, my cortisol levels are through the roof because I'm focused here talking to Brian and you guys, right? When
Yep.
when I'm working out, cortisol levels up high. When I wake up in
Yep.
the morning, I need the cortisol levels to be high because cortisol wakes us up, right?
Right. To
But
get
at
you moving.
nighttime, you want cortisol levels to go down because
Yeah.
if we know cortisol levels aren't down, then we can't release melatonin, which is our natural sleep hormone. Right?
Right.
They don't work together. They work in conjunction with each other, or they work against each other. So
Right.
we want to pull that down. So how do we keep a day routine where we're not in fight or flight all day? Because most of the times we are, right? We wake up in the morning, all of a sudden we're on our phones, we get this bad email where the media's pouring crap in, and now we're thinking about, oh, I got to do this today, and I got to do this today, and I got to do this today. And now, before you even get into the shower, you're already elevated, and you stay elevated because cortisol levels are supposed to go down. I know they're up in the morning
Right.
to get you up, but then they come down. Then you're in the shower and you're just thinking about this and that, and the kids are all over the place. The wife probably says something. You get in the car, you're driving to work, somebody cuts you off, and now you're
Yeah.
flipping them off. You're giving them your power. You get to work, you're
Right.
talking about the guy who flipped you off. Now you're in this high stress work. Then you got to go pick
Right.
up your daughter. Like, your full day is just stress, 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 stress. You're thinking
Right.
about things that you should have done last week that you didn't do. You're thinking about these things that are coming up, the bills you haven't paid. Hey, man, we got to slow down. How do we slow down?
Yep.
Well, we need to learn things to do, breath work, meditation, gratitude journal in the morning, and when to do them to help us reset, right?
Right.
Flips you off when you're driving. Who cares? The guy's probably cutting everybody off. I'm not going to give him my power, right?
Right.
In the morning, as soon as you wake up, write in your gratitude journal, write with paper, gratitude journal, the things you are thankful for every single day. I have a gratitude journal. I got so many of these gratitude journals, but I
Right.
write them every single day. Gratitude, 50,
There it
60 things that I
is.
do every single morning. I've got huge ones all over the place because that sets me up for success, right? And now I'm looking at all the beautiful things in my life. My stress levels are low. I'm relaxed. I can now be able to make better decisions. You can't make decisions through when you're emotionally here. You want to make intelligent decisions. You want to say intelligent things, and you can't do that when cortisol levels are elevated. So gratitude starts the day off. A little bit of meditation. I pray and I read my Bible. That's like the morning routine that sets your morning off. That's a win. You don't look at your phone at all. I don't go on my Gmail or my phone until like 9 o'clock, and I wake up at
Yep.
6. I
Yep.
do everything else beforehand. This comes separate.
Right.
And then throughout the day, you'll learn breath work technique. Go outside for a walk, ground yourself. Right, get back 5 minutes.
Right.
You know, someone comes in, it's so stressful, they're dumping all of their stuff onto you because a lot of times people do that too. They dump
Yep.
all of their crap on you. You got to be like, yeah, yeah, okay, no worries, I'll take care of it. You got to get up and go. You got to get up out of that place and get
Mhm.
outside and just ground
Break
yourself.
the pattern, interrupt the
Wait,
pattern there.
exactly,
Just all right,
exactly.
move to go get some fresh air, breathe, get the sun on you. Just go do
Yeah,
something different so it's
and
out.
release all that stuff. Release all that stuff
Yeah.
that you dumped on you. You got to release it, right?
Yep.
So yeah, learning these skills like meditation and when to use it, breath work and when to use it, gratitude. I know that it sounds woo-woo for most men, but again, when it comes to recovery, sleep, and biohacking, that makes more of a difference than getting a sauna, which is what I have here, a red light therapy. That's going to make the
Right.
biggest difference because we're always tired, we're always wired, as you say, we're always under recovered. These are the things that are going to help us stay
Huge.
focused. These are going to help us make the right decisions. And it's going to keep our cortisol levels up and down like they should be throughout the day.
Yep. We've wrapped in some of the sixth pillar, which is lifestyle and relationship, especially with
Mm,
yourself and building
mm.
that legacy. Maybe let's round out our conversation with the legacy of being a man that is a leader, that is in his family, in his sphere of influence of around the people, the work, the friends, the relationships. How does this all come down to that?
For me, it's you got to take care of your baggage
Yeah.
because here's the thing, man.
We all have it.
We all We all have it. 40
Yep.
we lived in our 40s, 50s, 60s. Remember, we're a Generation X. Some are baby boomers who are listening to this. We lived in a time where there wasn't phones and there wasn't all of the, norms that we have today where it is okay to have mental health and, like all, like
Right.
mental health is all there, which is amazing now. We didn't live in
Right.
those times.
Right.
So we suffered a lot. We may have done stuff to other people or we had stuff done to us when we were younger and or other things that happen. Maybe we were we suffer from PTSD or whatever, but we don't take care of it. We like to push it
Right.
down, right? We want to hide it. We want to push it down. We don't want to talk about it. It's going to be weak, blah blah blah. But when something happens specifically with the hormone, there's no science behind this, but something happens in our 40s, 50s, 60s, where all this stuff starts to come up, and it starts and it doesn't come up in a way where we start to rethink a lot of that stuff, which of course happens. It comes up in how we sabotage ourselves. We don't have self love at all. Zero, like zero. So we'll beat ourselves down. We don't deserve this. We may be
Right.
doing really well, and then all of a sudden we do something to sabotage it without even knowing, right? And a lot of that stuff stems from what we have not taken care of and talked about, and had someone in a professional environment help us to wean through some of the stuff that's happened, so we don't have to hold on to it. Because we got to let that go if we want to be the legacy, if we want to provide, protect, procreate, if we want to be that person. Because we've been grinding too much. But that grinding, we're going to grind ourselves off of the track and off the track completely.
Mhm.
It's not sustainable. Because it's gonna come up in either mental. Remember, I told you from the very beginning, we're leading the league in suicides, right? That's not something that's kind of like,
That's
oh,
the only
it's not dealing with things in the past. We lead the league in isolation, not having enough other men and friends around our lives. We isolate ourselves too much. We need to deal with that. Once we can start dealing with that and letting go and having someone help us let go, then we can have the self love. And then we can't love other people as much as we say we do. We can't give them the love they need or the most we can give them unless we love ourselves. We can't do that holding on to this other baggage. So for me, it's about manning up, getting help. And because there's a lot out there right now, and knowing that you're going to be stronger than any other person. The strongest person in the room is a guy who has nothing to hide. Period. Like
yes.
when I
Yep.
walk in the room, everyone knows my past. They know addiction. They know all this stuff. I got nothing to hide. What are you gonna say? What are you gonna say to me? Nothing, right? So
Right.
then like I'm here to serve and provide, help people. So that's going to be the most powerful thing. And I think once we do that, your relationships are going to be better. The way you treat yourself is going to be better. More, the way you help other people is going to be much more better. It's going to be better. You're just going to live a way better life, man. Specifically in our
Oh,
40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond.
yep.
So
Yep.
that's kind of where I'm going to leave it.
Right. And that's the time that you really want to have the fruit of thy labor for the last, you've been probably grinding 20 or 30 plus years and starting to get into that, this, third chapter of your life. You want to enjoy, you want to see that the sun is shining in the blue skies, and not be burdened with an unhealthy body and poor relationships and poor energy and all the consequences that go around not taking care of yourself. And
And
that's part
remember,
of the legacy.
the world we live in right now is a very, very, very destructive world. It's a
Yes.
horrible, like I'm not saying horrible in the sense that it's horrible. I'm just saying we all know the media is not on our sides. No one cares about you.
Right.
No one cares about you. So that's why you need to care about yourself. No one cares about
Right.
your problems and all these other things. They don't care. They're not coming to save you. They're not coming to help you. No one is coming to help you or save you. You got to
Right.
help and save yourself so you can help and save the people who you love around you. But in
Right.
order to do that, you have to have the self love enough to go through the struggles because everything I talked about here, that we talked about, it's not easy to do. You have to actually
No.
be outside your comfort zone the
It's
entire time.
simple, not easy. I love saying that to people. It's simple, it's not easy though.
It's not easy. It's very difficult, which is why we're where we're at. If it was
Right.
easy, then most people would be able to do it.
Everyone
But
would
it's
do it.
not, so we have to be like, okay, cool. I want to be hard to kill so that if I do have something
Yep.
chronic that happens, I can recover faster.
Yep.
I wanna continuously get better every single day, 1% better every single day, which means
1% better.
get outside my comfort zone. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to fall because I'm gonna fail fast, fall
Yep.
fast, get back up, learn.
Yep.
So when you
Do a
have that mind.
burpee when life knocks you down. Do a burpee, right?
100%. Maybe birthday burpees in the brotherhood. But yeah, that's gonna set you up for constant growth. No one grows in their comfort zone.
Yep.
So I mean, again, I know it's not easy, which is finally you need help, which is why you
Right.
want to come to the Men Over 40
Yep.
Summit. menover40summit.com because you're gonna have over 100 experts, fitness experts, doctors, going through everything. They're going to give you, some people are going to give you science and research. Some people are going to give you practical. But the one thing that, when I decided to do this, the one thing I 100% wanted was it's not just going to be an information dump. Like this is kind of like an information dump, although I'm trying to give you guys things you can do next
Right.
step. But I want every single talk, you're going to have an implementation plan. There's going to be
Yes.
what is the next best thing to do so that
Yep.
you hear the talk, you listen to the expert, and then you have something that you can take away right away and implement into your life.
Yes.
So that's why, and it's for you guys, for us, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, beyond. It's all about what we're struggling with and the understanding that everyone who's speaking to us and with us and for us understands what we're going through. So
Right.
it's free. It's 7 days. It is a non-negotiable for every man on this planet who's over the
Yep.
age of 40. Believe me, you will not miss it. And you'll know a lot of the speakers that are going to be part of it.
Yeah. You're pulling out some big names, which is awesome, and grateful to be in association with them. The dates again. When is the men's over 40 summit happening?
June 8th to the 14th. I don't know if you guys know this, but June is Men's Health Month. So June 8th to the 14th, from a Monday to a Sunday, every single day we release one pillar, right? So you're not going to get
Yeah.
overwhelmed with everything. Day one, mindset manhood. You'll have all the talks. Everyone who's speaking speaks to that topic. Day two, testosterone hormones health. So a lot of doctors, a lot of specialists, hormone specialists, and of course, training, fitness. And in the training and fitness, we have people doing actual workshops. So like Chris Lopez, Forrest Vance, they're doing like kettlebell workshops. So like they're going to show you how to use the
Yeah.
kettlebell online. It's all online, by the way, everybody.
Yeah. It's
It's all
awesome.
virtual. Then we're gonna, nutrition supplementation. We're gonna go through peptides. It's a big thing right now. So we got Jay
Yeah.
Campbell, like literally run down all the peptides. You talked about diabetes, which is super important. We got sleep and recovery day. So every day is gonna be
Yep.
specific. And even the lifestyle relationship day, I love that day because it's going to be more about style, about relationships, about marriage, about entrepreneurship,
Right.
retirement. So the whole thing is geared towards us men. And from June 8th to the 14th, that is when you want to be part of it. It's absolutely free. You can upgrade to lifetime access to the talks, which I advise everyone to do. But
Yep.
yeah, man, show up, menover40summit.com right now, because I just did a coaching call this morning inside of our Facebook group, because we have a Facebook group. I do coaching calls bi-weekly. So even if you sign up now, we still have a few weeks until we get to the summit. I'm going to be there Nick will be there, and we're gonna be, spitting. We're gonna be spitting value for you guys and answering your questions.
Yes.
Show up, show
Yes.
up, show up.
Let's do this. That's the whole reason why I had you here, to help promote it. And this episode's getting released ASAP. As soon as we get done, Preston stopped on this recording. So check the show notes. Check out Bunk on his socials. Check obviously my socials. I'll be pushing it as well. And join it, guys. That's what we do. 40 plus, helping you be the best version of yourself, so that you can then serve the people that you love and the people that you are surrounding, and then you just are a better human, period, because you have energy and you're happier and the sun is shining, and we see life with the glass half full, which is so important. So thank you, Funk, for joining me. Thank you for listening in. We got the men's over 40 summit.com. Check it out. Link in the show notes. Off we go, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.